Welcome back to Booze, Bros, and Cars, your favorite podcast about booze and cars. And tonight we're going to be your host. My name's Eric.
And I'm Nick.
All right. So, first things up is going to be what we're going to be drinking tonight. So, I have something that I don't think any one of us have actually drunk on the podcast yet, which I already tried it. It's very delicious, but I'll talk about it later. It's sake. So, really freaking good. This is a Fiji apple flavor. Have it in my little Mount Fiji cup, kind of fitting. Oh, you got yours too? Hell yeah. Actually, so I'm gonna stop right there. So me and Nick actually ended up buying those in tandem. I found those on Amazon, and I was like, "Yo, did you see these cups?" And he's like, "Oh shit, I've been seeing those." And I was like, "You want to fucking order them?"
Hell
So
yeah.
we did. So now we have those. And then the second drink that I have here for tonight is one, and I'm gonna rub it in your face, but it is Great Lakes Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. I found that in the Blue Door in Hendersonville when I was in North Carolina. Really funny because you actually mentioned that we don't get Great Lakes down here, but then I go to North Carolina and they had like 5 different types of beers. That's one of them that caught my attention. I got a lager that's already been drunk. And another one that I bought, which I think I sent you a picture of, which is the Christmas ale. So I'm gonna drink that in the upcoming weeks here. So yeah, that's what I had got lined up here for tonight. What do you got, Nick?
So a good steady little whiskey. This is the Alfa Romeo Team Whiskey Pig that I've been drinking over the last couple months. I'm about to kill the second bottle, which I share some of the second bottle, but
I still need to try that, man.
Yeah, and then kind of similar to Eric, I'm my main initial beverage is kind of a wine. It's a mead technically, so for some people, generically a honey wine. This is from Bee Nectar, who does a lot of meads and ciders and a lot of session meads that are lower ABV, easier to drink. They do a lot of flavored stuff. They're not really like a traditional mead company as far as I've ever seen, but they put out some killer flavors. That's the Bee Nectar Pineapple Coconut Express. It is like a mead-based pina colada. I mean, the flavor is on point. It is like perfect for what it's supposed to be.
Nice.
Definitely a little sweet, but you know, somewhere close to 16% ABV, so it's up there like a wine. But it is delicious. And Eric and your Great Lakes, you can go after yourself. But and that
your Great Lakes.
Great. To make this clear, not from Cleveland, not from Ohio at all. Just went to college there. And I don't think Great Lakes is my favorite brewery in the world. They just make a couple or a few beers that I do really like. And for whatever reason, they do not distribute to Florida. Their distribution network does not reach down here yet. Like what Eric's got, the Edmund Fitzgerald is a phenomenal porter. They make a couple other good basic beers, nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. But the one thing every year is that Christmas ale. You know, like I've got a keg of the Southern Tier 2 Xmas in the house right now. Nice. Because that's what I can get down here. But man, that Christmas ale from them is like, it's the first real Christmas ale I ever had when I started drinking beer, and it's just been like a nostalgic thing ever since. So it's I got a 6-pack I think still in the fridge. We put in the fridge from a prior year that we had stored. So I'll probably break some of those out here in the next week or so as well.
Nice. Well, you know what that means. If you can't get it down here, you know you can get it in North Carolina, so we can just make a trip up there. I'm just saying.
I'm going to Tennessee in less than 2 weeks, so we'll see.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, we're going for Christmas, so maybe if I'm lucky, I'll find some good stuff there to bring back down. I'm hoping to find some good scores on some whiskey or bourbon or something while I'm on the road too.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? Like, I'm sure if they distribute it in North Carolina, they have to distribute it in Tennessee. It's like right next to each other.
I mean, probably. My in-laws kind of live in the middle of nowhere, though, so it's, you know, a matter of hitting a store that actually has a decent selection. So it will probably be like hit something off at like 75 on the way up through Chattanooga or something.
Yeah. I mean, granted, Hendersonville is like outside of Asheville, like 25 minutes or so. But I mean, really, aside from that, there is really nothing around it.
Yeah.
Like the little towns that are around it, like Mills River. Mills River is known for heavy bull rock. Um, let me see. There's Arden. There's Fletcher. There's Flat Rock, and really, there's like not like yeah. There's really nothing. Black Mountain.
Yeah.
Aside from Asheville, like the only thing that people kind of really do know is Lake Lure, and it's because they filmed so there's two big movies that they filmed there, which is Dirty Dancing and
Okay.
Last of the Mohicans. I think they filmed there. So
Okay.
yeah. Aside from that, like I said, there's really nothing up there. But anyways, on to car talk. So the first topic, it's kind of a frustrating one. I have my thoughts on it. I know Nick does too. But what we're going to be talking about is that the R34 GTR is finally becoming legal within the upcoming months. I think the first one is going to be legal in March, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've heard, because it just depends on the build month of the vehicle and the year that it was made. So 99, March of 99, first month and year that the GTR was actually made, or R34 was made. So they're going to be bringing it in that month. But if anybody follows the market, these freaking GTRs, they're just, people are price gouging the living shit out of these cars. Average price for a true good grade GTR is right around $200,000. So talk about have a vehicle that we've wanted to own since we were young kids. Me in my early 2000s, like me in the early 2000s, playing Gran Turismo, watching Initial D, thinking, man, I want to own one of those one day. Well, that, dream of being able to own one pretty much just went that much further, because $200,000 for a 25-year-old Nissan, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, man.
It is. And here's my thing. With that, like I have a hard time calling it price gouging per se, because at the end of the day, it is not a necessity per se. And the fact that
True.
I mean, it's kind of coming down to basic economy, supply and demand. It's a shit ton of people want the thing. We're one of them, and they're all in Japan. And there is, logistics issue there. Get them over here, properly make them legal. And it's not like it's a car that's being built hundreds of thousands a year.
No.
So like do I get it being kind of pricey? Yes. Do I agree with where the market's gone? No. But at the same time, like look at the R32. Man, I mean, 6-7 years ago, I was gung-ho about one. I wasn't in the financial situation to really make that jump without making it my daily driver. And we're talking about back then, they were $25,000 for a good low mile example, already imported. 30 if it was absolutely pristine with like some really nice aftermarket wheels, exhaust, and stuff like that, and still low miles. So it's like now you're looking at a pretty generic GTR R32 going for like 55 on the low end, 60. I've seen some of them on Craft Sports website, which is a local Naples GTR dealership close to us. They've got some that are touching almost six figures for R32s. Now some of them are like Nismos and different specs and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, it's nuts. I mean, some of the R33s they've got right now, I think, are like $130, $140. They got like what is it? They got like a Spec V version 2 or something like that.
Yeah, so, I'm looking it up right now, actually, as you were talking.
Basically, just ignore the R34. All of the Skylines that they're importing, the market is just gone insane. It's gone from it used to be like I always thought as a kid, like, oh yeah, I can afford one of those. The Supra and the RX-7 were always unobtainable. Now all of a sudden you can get a right-hand drive imported Supra RX-7 for less than a GTR, which I never saw coming. Like I never saw that coming. I don't know if it's like Fast and Furious movies that are still somehow chugging along, or just the nostalgia suddenly making people do crazy things. Because I mean, let's think about this, man. At the end of the day, as cool as an R34 is, that's more money than a brand new Z06 with a markup.
Yeah, it
We're
is.
talking supercar performance.
Super
Like,
supercar price tag without the supercar performance.
and that's where, yeah, on the R34, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
200 G's, man. That's Porsche 911 turbo money
yeah. And
for
honestly,
for a 25-year-old car.
yeah, and honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge JDM car fanatic. I love JDM cars. RX-7 is probably by far my favorite car. It's like one of my dream cars. Same with the Evo 5 and the Evo 6. Obviously the Supra, the Skylines on that list, Trenos, Levins, name it. I'm a huge fan of all JDM cars, especially K cars. Like I know we talked about it on one of our podcasts, but dude, a Mazda AZM1, I would love to have one of those. A
That's the one with
Honda
the funky
Beat,
little flip up doors, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. The little Honda Beat, I would love one. The Suzuki
Yeah.
Cappuccino, I'd
Yeah.
love one of those
Yep.
too. Those are actually still relatively still pretty affordable aside from the
Oh yeah.
AZM1 because it's a little bit more rare, but it's still pretty attainable. But shit, man, like when you're talking about like these big boy cars, like the Skylines, the Supras, and the RX-7s, like the prices of them, they've just skyrocketed, and it's crazy. And actually, I know that you pointed out Craftsports, so they have three R33s, and they're all GTRs. Obviously, one of them is a just a normal GTR, nothing special. It's just silver, $79,000. There's a white one. It's a Spec V, white, $86,000. Then there's a red one. It's a V Spec Nismo Sport resetting in the classic AR1 color, which is actually pretty sought out after color, $86,000. But that's only the R33. Like you're not talking about the R34 that had a little bit more tech. The all-wheel drive system was perfected a little bit better than the
Yeah.
R34 or the R33. I mean, yeah, freaking $200,000,
Like
especially
it's
for
just
like,
crazy.
yeah, it is, especially for like those like more rarer colors like Midnight Purple 2, Midnight Purple 3, Millennial Jade. I can only imagine how much I don't know what the white is for the R34, but they have the what is it, the V Spec 2 NER N1. Like that's probably gonna be $500,000 car.
It's a possibility, man. I mean, and you think
Dude.
about, like, because one of the colors you mentioned, which me and Crane brought up during my last tattoo, was the Millennium Jade. And I mean, they only made like 300 cars in that color. It was something
Yeah,
like,
they
it was
didn't make
something
that
very
many.
low. Yeah, it was something very, very low. So yeah, like, I expect any of those that roll to market to be kind of up there. Just an offshoot of that, part of our discussion was how good a 944 would look in a Millennium Jade wrap with my bronze wheels. Something totally wild and unique and just un Porsche, right?
Okay.
So that was the discussion we were having, and I've been thinking about that more and more. As much as originally, like, me and him were talking, we were both like, yeah, Porsche specific, Miami blue, Riviera blue, you know, one of these colors out there, or like, you know, Merlin purple from the Audi Porsche paint a sample, like something like that,
That would be a
something
dope
Audi
color.
Porsche related, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about, like, because we were talking about purples and that, and I was like, man, you know what color I really love? That Millennium Jade. It's just like the touch of green. It's just so unique and funky, and it got me, you know, my wheels spinning going down that way. But which, you know, again, is a very much a future thing. You know, you guys always rag on me for my project car and, you know, never touching it. With that, you know, everybody else around me knows this already, but for anybody that does watch this and pays attention to it, that doesn't talk on a daily basis, the Genesis, which was my extra car, my fun car, is gone, sold, and not wrecked, not totaled, nothing like that. So that has made some room in the monthly budget that I am hoping after the holidays to start putting towards the 944 in the garage.
Yes.
You know, I finally found a company that puts a kit together for the poly bushings
Nice.
that I want, so I don't have to figure that shit out. on a
Yeah.
30-some-year-old car that I don't know that much about. Like, it's a full kit of everything I need, designed for the updated aluminum swing arms and everything that I've purchased from a turbo slash S2 944.
Okay.
So that's the next big expenditure is those, because I mean it's like $1,500 for the kit. So about 3 times as much as I thought bushings were going to cost me, until I realized, based on my usage of wanting to be able to track at any given moment, going with rubber bushings probably wouldn't make sense when I've already got it all ripped apart and stripped down. So
Probably not. So what are
yeah,
you
I
gonna
just do
do?
it
Are you
right the
gonna
first
do?
time.
Are you gonna do solid?
So they're from a company called Lindsay Racing, which is really well known in the Porsche world. A lot of grassroots stuff, and they're like a poly bronze bushing. So they're
Okay.
some of them are some of them are solid, some of them have a little bit of give to them. Depends on which part in the suspension they are in, stuff like that. So it should definitely stiffen the chassis up a good deal.
Nice.
Just make everything just tighter, which really was what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that quick turning when I tell it to do something, I want it to go. It's kind of
Nice.
that simple. So I don't want the slop. So, rather than spend, which again, I thought it would be like 500-ish, the normal ones would have still run me probably closer to 8-ish, 800-ish. So realistically, at the end of the day, this is about double the cost for significantly better product.
I mean,
So
you pay for what you get. So
and that's how I'm looking at it. If I'm going to do it from the ground up, why not just start right? There's a couple things I'm going to probably not go balls to the wall with because it's just not necessary. And it's certain things that I know I'm going to break whenever we get to a boost point or anything like that. So it's like, they are what they are. But the suspension, if I do it right from the get-go, aside from adding some grease every now and then to some fittings and brakes and rotor work, I shouldn't have to do anything maintenance-wise to the suspension for quite some time after I do it this way. So that is the hope. That's the goal.
Do those bushings, do they have like a little nipple then on them so that you can just attach a grease into it and just...
A couple do like the ball joints in the arms have a grease fitting.
Gotcha.
And I think a couple of the like polybronze slip bushings have fittings on them to grease up as well. So
okay. I was curious while you were saying that because when I had my Speed 3 and I had the full suspension on it, actually you were one of the ones that actually helped me install it when we did the coilovers. And then actually we did the coilovers first. I had the rear lower control arms, or one of the rear arms, and then I did the other control arm. I did sway bars, and then I did the front end links. And that thing, dude, I missed that car because that thing handled like a freaking champ. I think out of any one of our Speed 3s, mine probably had the stiffest suspension because anytime I'd pull into
100%.
Anytime I pull into like a shopping center that had like an incline for like the entryway, the back wheels would just like lift off the ground. Man, that was such a huge flex. That was so cool. I miss that shit, man.
Yeah. My wife's was purely stock, so I never had to worry about that per se. But
yeah.
But here's what I was talking about here, so you can see. I guess they don't have the stuff on them after all, but
no. So but I'm sure there's probably still a way where you can grease them, though.
Yeah, there may be. I'll get to that when it comes down to it. But this is like the basic kit they come with, and then this guy down here, it's got these couple extra little pieces. So I'll probably end up going with a slightly more expensive kit too, just to do it all right off the rip, because otherwise you're not getting these front control arm mounts. And since I've got the brand new front control arms, not brand new, but the upgraded aluminum ones from a Turbo 944, I figure I might as well just go that route. And then cough up the extra money for the poly bronze set instead of the poly graphites. So it's gonna climb up there pretty quick, but I mean it kind of is what it is. But again, I'm trying to build that foundation and get this thing down to a rolling chassis and be one step closer to getting on the road.
Heck yeah, man. Hey, I mean, it's like I said, just do it right the first time and don't have to worry about it after that.
That's the hope. And like I said, the way I'm looking at it is, I'm down a payment by getting rid of the third car, down the insurance for one less car. So it should be a little easier to, I say this, but it should be easier to allocate some funds that direction.
Yeah.
when I've eliminated some money for savings specifically for it. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. Time will tell. Like I said, I'm hoping while the weather's cooler to actually get in the garage and start getting those pieces
Mm-hmm.
in and installed and getting one step closer to setting on the ground.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Yeah, but that'll be good to see for sure.
Yeah.
Um
It's the only thing I can afford. I can't afford a GTR, so.
yeah, right.
But to that point, dude, I've been looking lately. Even like a GTS, they're still they're 25 grand now. Like you can't
they're
even
more. They're more.
like,
I've seen them for like 30, 40.
It's insane, man. It's like there's no level of Skyline anymore that for a normal person is affordable. Like we kind of mentioned this. Like we're lucky enough, all four of us in this podcast group are lucky enough to have second cars.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like a lot of people can barely handle the one. We're all been lucky enough to have second vehicles. And I in the future, I plan on picking up. I mean, in my household, there's my wife, so there's a third vehicle technically, but I plan on picking something else up, and that's the next thing is what's that fun car going to be? Something that I can drive. The wife's already made very clear requirements are some kind of rear seats that the kids can buckle into, and stick shift. So those are her two requirements. Mine are either a big engine or boost, and rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. So that, I mean, those specifications open up to a lot of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue being with the way current rates are, until rates go down, I don't want to spend more than 20 grand.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like a year from now. I want to get the Porsche a little farther along before I even talk about cutting into my monthly budget again. So
yeah,
it's a struggle. And as much as I keep seeing things pop up, like that RS4 I was sharing with you guys, that sold today for $43,500. Yeah, 108,000 miles on it.
Was 07 it really?
RS4. Yep.
Man,
$43,500.
That year of the I think it's called the BB5, right? Or is it the B5?
That generation was the
B4, B5?
No, it's 5 or 6.
Okay.
Because my A4, my 2011 was a B8. So I want to say the RS7, the 07 model year was a B6.
Oh, okay. Okay. The B210. Yeah. Regardless, it's gorgeous car. It's probably one of my favorite Audi S4s that's actually out there on the market.
And it's just, I mean, they only brought like 2,000, I think, to the country. It was 1,800 and 2,000, somewhere in there. I want to say it was right at that 2,000 number. And, that was it. That was the U.S. market from 07. And not all of them have survived. Not all of them were desirable colors. They're, basic maintenance. Unfortunately, around that 6-figure mile mark, you have to do a timing overhaul, which requires you to pull the engine, because Audi decided to put the timing system on the back of the engine against the firewall. So you have to yank the engine realistically to properly do this. So it's what a lot of guys sit there, and that's where they sell them. Kind of like we were talking about with the Speed 3s, right? That VVT maintenance came up, and it was like, all right, time to go later.
Yeah,
this is a bigger job,
because you had
people the same thing.
This much room to play with after you took out the fucking side plate.
So the S4 and the RS4 with that 4.2 V8, very similar situation. It's a pretty hefty job, and you got to yank the whole damn engine. So that turns a lot of people away. Most people that are going to buy one of these anywhere near 100,000 miles or over are going to look for proof that the timing's been done. Aside from that, I mean, other than basic maintenance, the damn things are pretty solid. 400 some horsepower, good torque, all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, and my God, do they sound purely evil with an exhaust on them.
Oh yeah.
It's that that for me was kind of one of those realistic toys for the future, maybe. Like this particular one was very well done. It was repainted by the original owner because he really wanted blue, so he bought a black one. Had the thing professionally stripped and repainted into the Nogaro blue. Had special Recaros brought in with the like the hard backs on them. Had the backs painted Nogaro blue to match, and then the back of the seats and the entire car were PPF filmed. Like,
Jesus.
I mean, oh yeah, the thing was absolutely immaculate and spotless, and the interior was so clean. I mean, it was just, I get why it went for the money that it went for because it's such a specimen. But maybe someday.
Yeah.
But realistically, like we were talking about before we started the podcast, because I am with Ford currently. I mean, hell, I'm wearing a Shelby shirt right now. I've got the Explorer. My wife's got the Bronco. For the money I'm considering in the future, a 19 or 20 GT Mustang could be in play because it's got rear seats. I can get a 6-speed. It's got a V8. They handle boost well if I ever decide to throw a supercharger at it or something like that. So
S550s are good cars.
they're solid, man. They're solid. It's a shame since I see the new S650s all the time now, and that interior, the new infotainment system is so nice. But at the end of the day, again, it won't be my daily driver. What's it matter?
Yeah. Actually, really funny that you're talking about the S650 because I literally just finished watching Von Gittin Jr.'s video that apparently Von Gittin and Chelsea Denofa are the influence for the Drift e-brake.
I could see that.
No, they actually were the ones that actually test the cars and tested the e-brake and tweaked it. Like they had like this engineer sitting in the passenger seat. They both drove the car and they were giving them the feedback and they were tuning the e-brake while they were sitting there. So they perfected it and to their liking. And they're like, okay, like for somebody that wants to start drifting, this is perfect. Yeah. And even if you're like an advanced drifter, this is still perfect. So go figure, freaking
like those
Team
two
RTR.
Are, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They are RTR, and that is such a big name in the Mustang world now.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I know people buying RTR wheels for their Broncos and their Explorer STs in the different groups I'm in. Yeah. So they're bleeding out into Ford pretty strong, which is cool for them. Yeah. It's just going to give them a bigger aftermarket thing to go after.
Well, so they're completely backed up by Ford. I mean, like Ford is the one that literally hands them these new chassis, and they're like, okay, here you go, do your magic, and show us up. And this year they did with Chelsea Denofa, winning the season, and they ended up winning the constructors championship with Formula D. So those chassis are proving themselves already.
Oh, so yeah, it's a badass car. And in terms of the pony cars, I think it's And again, I grew up in a Chevy family, and I still will always say that Corvette is the superior vehicle to any of them. But as much as I love the sound of the LS and the LT motors, I think that the Mustangs are just a little bit more nimble than a Camaro. They are absolutely more. Everything's more nimble than a Challenger. My grandma's Maxima from 2003 was more nimble than a Challenger. So it's just, I don't know. It's definitely a good future potential for me. Just to stay loyal to what the brand that I work for. But
listen, I've made the comment. I wouldn't mind getting an EcoBoost and turning that into a drift car.
Yeah, see, I already have an EcoBoost, so I need a V8.
Yeah.
My EcoBoost is a little bigger than the EcoBoost you're talking about, but I need a V8.
It is.
I mean, really what I really want, but I can't touch it for my sub 25K future budget, is a GT350. That's what I really want. That 5.2 Voodoo is absolutely amazing. It's probably the 5.2 Voodoo is one of the best sounding V8s that I can think of made. And I wish I had the budget for the 350R, but that just doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. But the 350 itself is just so well set up for the track, pretty much, without the extra R aero or the carbon wheels or brakes. But you've also got a phenomenal engine with great power delivery. It's powerful, but also not too powerful to be overkill like, say, autocross.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's a really good all-around car, and that's one of the reasons I really like the idea of an S550 GT350. But again, it's the money. At the end of the day, I've been watching a couple of them, and they're still going for mid-40s easy. So, which in the grand scheme for a track car, realistically, a street legal track car, isn't that bad. It's still a Shelby, but we'll see what the future holds. I am lucky enough to be able to tap into auctions or get first dib maybe on a trade that comes in or something like that. Like we just had somebody trade in the 2019 Mustang Bullet for a pretty good number. It's a little more than I want to spend, but it's that green color that they made the Bullet in. I love green, and the thought keeps going through my mind, but it's not time yet. If I do anything now, it completely ruins my plan on touching the Porsche in the near future. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to be good and stay away from buying another car. My wife's not doing great. She basically told me just pursue that RS4 if I really want it. Thankfully,
Nice.
I did not, because it went well past what I was willing to spend.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the future holds. Yeah, I might get a little impatient and do something, but I'm determined not to until I've at least bought the bushing kit and the brake caliper rebuild kits, and at least bought the parts to where we just need to do the labor. Like, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Let's do a quick beverage recap here. Because the next topic, I feel like we're definitely gonna rant about that one a little bit.
I might get a little angry.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll kick it off as usual. So the sake, really delicious. It's really good. I've not tried this brand. It's called Hana. Picked this up at our favorite bottle shop, number 3. It was good, but it had like I don't know if it was just the sake, but it had like this like odd aftertaste. It still tastes really good. I just can't put my finger on what the aftertaste was. But like I said, it was still really good. It's only 8% alcohol by volume, but it's still really good. The Edmund Fitzgerald, horrible. Not a fan of it at all. Very dislike it very much. No, just kidding. It's really good. 6% ABV, 37 IBU. Really, really good. It's very, very smooth, which kind of caught me off guard. Usually porters and stouts, they sit heavy. I mean, porters sit a little bit lighter, but they usually sit pretty heavy. This is actually not like that at all. It's very, very smooth. It's I guess lighter on the porter end, but I'm actually really enjoying this. Kind of disappointed with myself not going back to the Blue Door and picking up a couple of extra bottles and bringing one for you. But can always hit up North Carolina and buy some more.
Don't worry, I've had my share of Great Lakes over the years, so
I'm sure.
The only thing I'd be hurt about is if you got some Christmas ale and I was out. But
oh yeah,
but it is what it is. You did not, so we're okay. I haven't actually touched my whiskey yet. I'm still trying to polish off this giant glass of mead. The Pineapple Coconut Express from B Nectar is just delicious. I mean, it is really not boozy at all. So it goes down real smooth. It is definitely very sweet on the tongue, but the flavors are spot on.
I was just gonna say that, man. Like mead, as delicious as meads are, they are a little, or they can be a little too sweet, where you have to kind of sit on it for a little while.
Yeah, and so the reason being is, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, you're fermenting sugar to make alcohol.
Yeah,
mead is purely honey. We had this discussion earlier with many different types of mead. We were talking about this before we actually started recording. So for anybody that doesn't know, there are a dozen or maybe even a couple dozen styles of meads based on the honey that's used, based on fruits that are added to it while it ferments. There's one that we were discussing called a Cyser, Cyser, that is traditionally based on honey, and then instead of water, the other portion of it is an apple cider. And then they ferment that, and that gives you that kind of, apple pie type mead, but that's a Cyser because it's a cider being used as the base liquid. And there's like a Bochet or something like that where you caramelize the honey first. Anyway, there's a lot of different types. But much like a traditional, or much like a normal wine from grapes, you can continue to ferment these things to the point where they're higher ABV and they're dry, just like a wine. But most of the companies selling these with their fun, colorful labels are fermenting them up to a pretty relatively strong point, 15, 16%, and then
Yeah.
they back sweeten it. They'll put in more honey after the fact or some other sweetener additive to bring that sweetness up. And then what they do is they get your traditional or your person that's like, I don't like wine. Well, they get them hooked on this because they're like, oh, it's sweet and it's fruity and it's delicious and it's this or that. It's no different than how a lot of us got into beer, right? With flavored craft beers. And we're like, oh man, the Coors and the Budweiser my family's drank since I was a kid or whatever, like is that just tasted so bad or smelled rank. This is good beer, right? They hooked us on crazy labels and a little sweeter and flavorful beers. And now we're obsessed with all kinds of beers. And that's kind of what I think the mead companies are doing. Once you get into it, or if you're a wine drinker, it's easy to go out there and find some of these really adept meaderies that make other styles, make them drier, not so sweet. So I mean, there's a lot out there, and they get pricey because what people don't realize is honey is the most expensive fermentable sugar and alcohol. And that is what these are based off of. So they get pricey, and then most of them in these little tiny bottles. So
and those bottles are cost you like what, like 20, 30, 35 bucks each.
That one there, 21 bucks for what's considered like a split. Basically, it's a half bottle.
Yeah.
So
I mean, shit. When
excuse me,
when we try to make mead, I mean, we'd buy what 2 gallons of honey.
I was buying a gallon to sometimes 3 gallons of a shot in jugs.
That was like what, like 30, 40 bucks alone.
They were 45 bucks a gallon, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
which
it was up there.
If you buy in bulk, it's definitely better. But honey, and specifically good raw honey, not like the stuff you buy at the supermarket that's been run through how many systems and stuff. Like we were buying good local honey from a guy that had hives all around town. Different areas and different varieties. That was solid. I mean, I still buy it when I go out to the Alva Diner and use it for cooking and stuff like that. I just buy it in smaller containers. I don't need a friggin' milk gallon of or milk jug of it, but it gets pricey quick. Yeah, but
speaking of which, what I've actually started watching, and I started watching it especially after we kind of briefly talked about it last week. I think were you on that podcast? I can't remember, man. Like everything is a blur at this point with a bunch of stuff going on. But were you on that podcast where we were talking about the Grand Tour? I think you were.
Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned it, or you were the one that mentioned it, that Clarkson said that he was going to continue doing Clarkson Farm. So I started watching it.
Yep.
Dude, it is such a good show. It's so funny. And I'm in I think I'm in season 2, but I'm watching the episode that after all the lambs were born, like, and he had all like the baby lambs, but he also got like beehives, so that it kind of made me rethink of that episode. But man, that shit was so fun. Like that guy, man,
that show.
Clarkson,
I mean, again, it's Jeremy Clarkson that kind of makes it, but it is a really cool show, and it's got times where it's super wholesome. Other times where it's just hilarious, and there's some times where I've learned some things. I mean, I don't know anything about farming, but I sit there and watch it. I'm like, man, that would be enjoyable at retirement, something like that. But well,
it's funny that you're saying that, because I'm not lying to you. I was watching one of the episodes and I was like, how much is a piece of land in Europe, like in Ireland or Great Britain or something? And then like it kind of snowballed into, man, don't they have like really old castles that you can buy for like dirt cheap? So like I was like looking up like old castles with like land, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could probably buy one of these, and they're still freaking pricey, of course, because it's land overseas. But I was like, man, that'll be so awesome, just to freaking buy a castle and just do something very similar.
Work the land.
I've kind of told you I would love to have like a meadery or something. Well, a mead hall, but build like a meadery and like make my own mead and shit. That'd be kind of cool. But anyways,
that would be.
Anyways, moving on. More car talk. So the next one, I kind of came up with this topic. I was kind of hoping the other boys would be on, but Mike has been pretty much exhausted from work, so he took the night off, and Carmelo, he's tied up with
at work.
He's stuck at work. Yeah, exactly. But I saw a video and it kind of sparked my interest for this next topic, which was what card trend should not exist. And I'm not lying to you, I came up with a list, and you're probably going to agree with some of them. So because I have my
probably all of them.
Yeah, I kind of want you to go over what you think should not exist right now, and then I'll kind of piggyback from there.
So if I thought longer about this, I'd probably come up with a much longer list. But like, two things come to my mind very quickly, and one of them is more of a cultural trend, and one of them is more of a design trend, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
So from the design aspect, let's call it, to me, this makes the car absolutely fucking unusable, and it's the extreme stance.
Okay. Yeah.
So where they look like a fucking hover car, basically. They're so cambered out.
Yeah.
Like, that drives me absolutely nuts. Like, I see that stuff, and I'm just like, what the I just want to go over the hammer and just snap their axle. Just hit the wheel just right. You know, like, it is the dumbest thing in the world. It is absolutely obliterating their hubs and axles, and it's just, you have no traction, you look ridiculous, you're scraping the ground, and the car is useless. It's absolutely effing useless. I get it if you're bagged and you pick up extra camber when you air out, but these guys are static half the time, or most of them I think are static, and they're just absolutely stuck. But before I bitch more about that, my other one is from a cultural aspect. It's these fucking street takeovers. I'm just so over them. They give such a and we've talked about this before in this podcast. They give such a terrible name to automotive enthusiasts. Most of them are a bunch of just young dumbasses in their fucking Chargers and Challengers.
G35s, 350s.
Yeah, you know, all these things.
That joined that fucking boat, unfortunately.
Yeah, just they think they're the coolest thing in the world. Because they haven't even made their first payment on the car yet, and they're probably going to default first payment and repo it anyway. But you know, they just take over intersections and drift around. They're fucking hitting each other's cars. They're hitting people. They're dragging people through. We had an issue here locally, in the last year, I think, where some old people were trying to get through an intersection that were taken up, and they shot the car up. Two old people driving through an intersection that they were trying to do a street takeover, and they shot the shit out of the car. Like, are you, like, fuck me?
Yeah.
Like,
to correct Nick, the people in the takeover were shooting the older people.
Yes. It should have been the other way around. They would have deserved it.
Oh yeah, 100% agree.
I want to see two old people with ARs out in an intersection with a bunch of dumb kids in their Chargers. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
I'll subscribe to that.
All right, so to piggyback from the first one, yes, I do agree. A unreasonable amount of negative camber.
Yes,
camber is really
because we know a proper track setup has some negative camber. So we're okay with that. We get that.
Because, I mean, even I'm going to admit, if you look at my Corvette from the side, especially from the front, my front tires go like this. But I only have like negative 2.5 degrees of camber. Some of these guys are running like negative 10 plus, and that's obnoxious. I mean, I think, don't quote me on this, with Miatas, the ideal spec is that you have like negative 5 degrees. That might be excessive because I think that might be incorrect, but I think I saw somebody posting a picture saying that they have negative 5 degrees of camber, but they use it for track purposes, for speed driving purposes.
Exactly. Most of these guys are just on the road. They don't know how to. They don't actually know how to drive their car properly on the track. They just think it looks cool.
Yeah. Where it's pretty much eating the inner sidewall of your tire, and that's it. Like that shit is.
When you
ridiculous.
see that, you instantly know that person's not a real car guy or car girl.
No.
They have no idea what the proper setup is for a performance vehicle. They are, and people 100%. Are just going to say, "Oh, it's their style. They can do what they want with their car." They absolutely can, but you know what? You can do whatever the hell you want and still be wrong. I'll say it. You can still be wrong.
Exactly. Like one car that kind of made its rounds over, I want to say maybe the last, I'm going to extend it 1.5 years, was that light blue Miata, that Stanty Pants. Do you remember that?
I don't know if I do.
That was that RX-8 that had like stupid negative camber, and he like got on the freaking ramp by him. The only way he can get it on the ramp is by him driving it on the ramp. I'm going to cue that video in right here. But Jesus, that shit is so stupid. Like, holy fuck.
Hey, look at that! It caught fire.
It did catch on fire. It did. Which it probably, honestly, like Maz the Gods are probably like. Actually, Nick, I don't even have to cue in that video. If you scroll down, if that's his Instagram page, if you scroll down, you're probably gonna find that video of him. Oh no, he probably took it off. Never mind. I'll still cue in the video anyways. But God, man, like it is. And it was a clean RX-8 before,
like
and
right
he ruined it.
Doesn't look that bad. Okay, I don't like the lip. The lip is poking too much.
It is. But aside from that, it's a
but
good
the overall stance
RX-8.
is not bad right there. So he started off well, and then he just continued to go stupid and more stupid and more stupid until thankfully it looks like it burst into flames.
Yeah,
so
the car pretty much wrote itself off. It killed itself.
Yeah.
Which, if I was at RX-7, I probably would have done the exact same thing. But
yeah, he's claiming in here that somebody basically
vandalized
burned it to the ground in the middle of his neighborhood. I'm on the bet it's piss poor build quality and shit like this that led it to blowing up and something. It probably parked it hot. Something was probably leaking and it probably burst into flames. That's what I'm willing to guess.
Actually, apparently it was his wiring job that pretty much caused it.
Yeah.
Which, if his persona is anything like his profile picture,
I wasn't gonna say anything, but we're gonna call it out. I mean, he looks like he would drive a Subaru and have a vape in his hand. But well,
you know what may have happened to him when he was born.
And I know a lot of Subaru guys that I like that vape. I'm just saying, but
yeah. You know what? Like what the earliest video of this guy was a video of. I'm gonna clip it right here.
Oh, sorry, buddy. No.
There we go,
But the video of the baby that got born and then the nurse bumps its head.
I know what video you're talking about. I know exactly which video you're talking about.
That was probably him like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, sideshows are moving on. Sideshows is another one I do agree. I am gonna correct you on one thing. That you said that these kids are drifting around. That's not drifting. They're doing donuts around in a freaking middle of an intersection.
They're doing wide donuts and not even well.
Yeah, they're like, because that's not drifting. I'm gonna be straightforward about it. That's not drifting at all. Like you're doing a circle. That's not drifting. Drifting is more like follow Formula D, follow what was Clutch Kickers, Riverside events, name it. Go to OSW. That's real drifting. The shit that these kids are doing is not. But so I do agree with that. Street takeovers or side shows. I'm going to bring it up another one. You're probably going to agree with this one, but you probably forgot about it. Carolina Squatted Trucks.
Oh yeah.
My God.
Hate those.
Dude. It's like, the dumbest shit ever.
Everybody talks about like guys with lifted trucks have tiny PPs. Nah, the Carolina Squat Boys.
Dude.
They have innies. They just have innies. I'm convinced.
Micros.
Like, like what? Okay, first of all, and again, I don't want to sound like a crotchety old man, but from a safety aspect, you can't see shit.
No, you can't.
Like imagine you pull up to a light and there's a Miata in front of you, or any small sedan for that matter. You're not going to see it.
It's happening.
Yeah, you're going to run right over the damn thing, And at the end of the day, listen, if you can't afford the full lift kit, just don't do it. If you can only afford the front, don't be a cheap broke dick. Just don't do it.
Exactly.
And if you did that on purpose and think that looks cool, you're stupid.
You deserve to be castrated or taken to the back shed like Old Yeller.
Yes, those are well. Old Yeller didn't deserve that. All right, he had it. He was a good boy. He was a good boy. But no, these guys, gals, whoever that are doing this, like my God, please don't procreate. We don't need it. We don't. No. We have a population issue as it is. We do not need your mentality continuing on in the world.
Exactly.
I feel that way about a lot of types of people. I'll only make enemies with car people for today, and then I'll work my way through in future episodes.
Yeah, right. All right, the next one I have to say this is more of a low blow towards my Corvette, but it's more like the older Corvette community. Some Mustang guys, like the older Mustang guys, and the guys that build like those classic cars.
Yeah.
Nick is gonna agree with me on this one, but the ungodly amount of chrome stripping and badging that you guys add on these fucking cars. Why? Chrome is ugly. It is the ugliest shit ever. I mean, granted, if you have like, if you use chrome as like accents, sure, it might look good.
Right.
But dude, if you're getting like your engine bay, if you're literally getting cutouts of chrome and you're like putting double-sided tape on it and then putting it all, bro, stop.
Like a certain amount is okay. Like my G70 had like the little boomerangs on the fenders that were chrome.
Yeah.
The window trim was chrome. The front grille surround was chrome. That was it, right? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe the polish on my exhaust.
Maybe.
But it was just enough to offset that off-white color that it wasn't obnoxious. It was one of the things in the future that I wanted to black out, frankly. But it wasn't so ridiculous that I cared that much to jump on it. But to Eric's point, man, like I'll take it a step further. It's not just the chrome. It's a lot of these older guys that are like, this is going to look really cool. That take like the C7 style headlights and put them in their C6s. I just appraised the orange vet, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, where the guy did aftermarket taillights with the LED rings.
Oh, I don't
did not look good. He did the aftermarket headlights that were designed like the C7 headlights for a C6.
Yeah.
Terrible fitment. He had a bunch of little funky chrome badges and stuff like this on places. But one of the ones that drives me the most nuts is when you pop the hood. And you kind of started about this. And everything, the chrome engine cover, chrome coolant tanks, chrome caps on everything, radiator shrouds, and the radiator support is chromed. Like just everything, and it's stuck on. It's all was it Putco or something like that? Whatever. Yeah. The cheap plastic shit that's been chromed, that flakes terribly with 3M sticker tape and just stuck onto everything. I've seen fuel doors that have been stuck on chrome.
Oh my God.
I've seen surrounds on rear valences. Anything you can think of. Door handles is one of the major ones that they chrome out and they pit and they look terrible. All those high touch points where your hands touch all the time.
Yeah.
It is just a special level of bad taste, I guess. And obviously people are going to say, well, that's their taste. That there's obviously people out there that like that. There are, but we also need to remember that it's a dying generation and nobody else is doing it. So thankfully it's going to go away probably in the near-ish future.
Thank God.
Don't take this the wrong way. Some of these guys I've met, they're great guys. They don't do that, but some of them just go excessive. And I kind of get it. I'm not saying I agree with Chrome, but it's their generation, right? They grew up in the 50s, 60s when Chrome and everything, I mean 30s, 40s, like all this kind of stuff, the Chrome bumpers, the Chrome headlight bezels, everything was Chrome, and that was opulence, and that was flashy, and that was success, and like I kind of get it, but they basically got stuck in that way, and they never grew with the times. You know, that showed like, hey, Chrome's kind of dead. There's better coatings for metal now that keep them, safe for longer and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, I mean, really, Chrome was designed to coat the metal and protect it. Guys just polished the shit out of it, made it super pretty and shiny. But that is a good one. That is.
So I'm gonna show you something.
Is it an Audi by chance?
It's not. But I bought something for my Corvette, and I'm so looking forward to actually getting it.
That's good. That's awesome.
So I'm putting that in the sticker bomb collection of my stickers because I just want to piss off boomers with my car.
I'm trying to find something. There is, and I don't know if it pops up in one of my Audi Facebook groups all the time from back when I owned them. It is an Audi A4 with so much shit stuck on it, dude. If I can find this, I probably have shared it with you guys, but it's gotten worse in the future, or here in the recent past. Yeah. So while we're kind of talking, I'm Googling, trying to see if I can pull this damn thing up.
All right.
Yeah.
So I've got another one for you. Higher end model badges on lower model cars.
Yes, the up badging.
Oh my God. Yes, exactly. Yeah. The up badging.
Yep.
Oh my god, that is stop. You don't have an M Series BMW. You have a 325i. Stop.
Right. Like at least it's one thing, you know, if you've got like an M340, right? Okay, you've got some of the extra performance, some of this. But to your point, when you've got one of the 4-cylinder base model 3 Series, nobody's buying it. And like you look ridiculous. Like it's just, I don't even think they offer an M performance package on those lower trims because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like they don't. You know, you can't get the M wheels and stuff like that probably.
Yeah.
But I saw it a lot in the Audi world as well.
The S badges on non-S
or RS badges and stuff like
that.
I've seen Audi badges on cars that weren't Audis, Mercedes badges on cars that weren't Mercedes.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, we had a weird one when I worked for Hyundai. We had a guy that came into service that had a Hyundai Sonata, but instead of Hyundai badges, they were Subaru badges, which made absolutely no sense in the entire world. But he replaced the oval Hyundai badges with Subaru badges. So that one was fun. And yeah, but you know,
AMG
I've seen
badges on non-AMGs.
Yep.
GT badges on non-GT
Mustangs and stuff. Yeah, I see that one a lot.
V6 Mustangs.
Yeah, or there's a Camaro that drives around Cape Coral that is very noticeably a V6 with ZL1 badges all over it.
Why?
It is so far from a ZL1. I mean, I can drag him by bus lengths in my Explorer, so I know it's not a ZL1.
I kind of want to find him in my Corvette now.
Oh my god! Every time I see him, I troll him. Yeah, I troll him on my 5,000-pound family haul every time I see him.
Oh my god!
It's just one of those and that's when it's bad, when it's so obviously wrong. And you know what? Here's the thing: there's a lot of people out there that aren't car people. They probably look at that and say, "Oh, I've heard of one of those. That's a really nice one." And they probably just assume it is what it is when they don't know what it is. They don't know it should be an obnoxious supercharged V8 under the hood that breathes fire and silent car, or it has a shitty straight pipe V6. Like, they don't know this. So somebody out there might be impressed by it, but for your car people, it just doesn't click.
The worst
is when those people come to Cars and Coffee meets and talk their shit up, and you're looking at it like, bro, you don't have anything that this car's supposed to have. What is this bullshit? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna rank on myself when I say this, but usually like those cars, they're narrow body cars, and the higher end models, they're wide body. So you have like, oh yeah, I've got a Z01 badge, but your car is like this thin when it should be like this thick. Like what? Like you can like you can tell there's an obvious difference between like a base model and a ZL1, because the ZL1 does have the wider fenders front and back. It does have wider wheels. It's got really aggressive aero on it. Like it's got like the front air splitter. It's got canards. It's got that crazy wing on it. Like there's no noticeable differences. So why put a ZL1 badge on a base model Camaro?
Dude, I'll never understand. I've had conversations with guys like, oh yeah, I got a Lexus F Sport or a Lexus F. Oh, like which one you got? Oh, I got the ISF or the RCF. And it's like, if you do, you got the wrong fenders, buddy, and the wrong tailpipes. And it's like, oh no, it's a 350 F Sport. Well, that's not an F.
Yeah,
you got some wheels, and that's about it. But you don't have the big boy fenders, the double stack exhaust.
Yeah, you have an appearance package, sir.
Yeah, that's the first thing you see, those big ass fender vents, and you see that quad exhaust with the stacked tips, and you're like, all right, that's an F. That's a real F. But so that's another one of those. I mean, it oddly enough, it's generally in the highline cars, the Audis, Mercedes, Lexus, BMW, stuff like that. I don't see it in Porsche really ever, because you already own a Porsche, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's I feel like there's another one out there that I'm thinking that's just, I don't know. I'll probably think of it later, but there's another one that irks me, and unfortunately, I cannot find the thing I'm trying to look at. Basically, there's an Audi out there, an A4. I want to say it's in Texas someplace, maybe.
Okay.
And it has, basically, it looks like somebody went into an AutoZone, an Advanced Auto Parts, and a Pep Boys, and they all puked up a pile of shit, and this guy stuck everything on the car. I mean, we're talking like a fake splitter with a splitter support arms that go into the bumper and not actually into. Yeah, they're not drilling in and going into like the crash bar that's actually got some support to it. He's got like these. It looks like an old school 50s hood ornament right up the center of the hood. It looks like a big that Blackbird hypersonic jet or whatever. Like, and it's just, dude. There's canards or canards or whatever everywhere on this thing. I mean, it just looks. I think there's spoilers on spoilers. Like, it just looks so ridiculous. And somebody works at the dealership that this guy services at and takes a picture every time he goes in and posts it to one of my Audi pages. And every time there is more shit. Like, and I'm not talking like a little bit more, like substantially more, to the point where I don't know. I can't imagine the wind noise the thing makes driving down the highway.
Imagine how much downforce
that take off. It probably wants to just fly at this point and take off. Which, taking off and then crash landing would be the best thing for the world.
Probably. I just want to know the mindset that people have that do this shit. Like, do they think that this is cool and that it's gonna attract like car people? Because like, if you look at what car people truly build, granted, I mean, like the car community is just so diverse, right? You have many different types of or you have many different types of ways to modify cars. You can add wide body kits, you can add just aftermarket body kits with stock fenders and things like that. You can add different hoods, vents, vented fenders. Now there's pretty much like cars now, they're like blank canvases and you can create them as your own. But do they really think that going crazy over the top with all this cheap ass like chrome canards, fake carbon fiber shit that's gonna attract car guys, like, or car people? Like, no, bro, like, what is wrong with you? Like, I just want to know the thought process behind it, because I mean, like, us, like, even when we modify our cars, like using your G70 as an example, clean as hell, lowered, had a real clean exhaust tone to it, had the stock wheels, but you had those wheel spacers which made it look freaking great. It was clean. It was a clean car. It was, honestly, I would have rocked the shit out of that car as a daily. But somebody would have bought that car and just gone crazy with canards and spoilers and all this chrome shit. No, bro, like, that's, you're just ruining the car.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got two more for you. The next one is going to be, and you're going to agree with this because we see that a lot here in Lee County, aftermarket aero on stock cars. Big ass wings, bumpers, body kits, over fenders with dudes with stock ass ride height. You're literally just garage, just cut exhaust with like a nasty ass welded tip. No offense to Mike's Miata.
Well, that was my doing too. So it's or my old A4 was pretty obnoxious.
Yeah,
I've learned a little bit.
We have, but I mean, like, these cars, they sound like crap. Like, they sound like freaking fart cans, and they have aftermarket body kits that should not be on them because they have stock ass ride heights, wheels that are either way too thin for that body kit or way too freaking wide. Like, you got fucking Mexi poke on these fucking cars, and they look hideous. Anyways, and the last one, because I know that we are kind of pressed on time here, is people or parents that allow their kids to sit on strangers' cars. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because me, Mike, and actually Chris Crane, we were at the Festival of Speed a couple weeks ago, and Naples Motorsports had their McLaren Elva on display. And I don't know, I'm going to see if my recording caught it, but there was these parents that let their two kids sit on the fucking Elva. It's a $2+ million car, and there's two kids sitting on this thing, and you literally hear the sales guy saying, excuse me, this is a $2 or $3 million car. Can you not have your kids sit in it? I would have not gotten mad. Because the dude's got a valid point, or a valid point. Why would you have your kids, or why would anybody, just any random stranger, why would you sit on somebody's car? Like, that's so disrespectful. Like, I get it. Oh, yeah, I want to take a picture of it. Like, fine, don't sit on the fucking car. Like, do a selfie from far away with the picture in the back, or the car in the back. That's fine. Don't sit on this shit.
So, I want I'm gonna backtrack what I was talking about a little bit ago. I found it.
Okay. Oh, did you?
Bro, wait for this. This is from March of this year, so 7 months ago at this point.
Oh my god!
And I think I've seen it since then. I can't imagine more being on it, but I feel like there was a little bit more. It is. Oh my god!
Would not be surprised if there's more on it. Oh my god, dude! What?
Dude, look at all these strut-looking coilover type things he's using. Like I look at this thing and this is proof that mental illness is a problem in this country.
Yeah, 100%.
Like what is like? Look at that, dude.
I love how actually
it's an Earnhardt car. It's got a 3 on the side for Earnhardt.
Oh my god!
I think those are supposed to be like a side exit exhaust with like those cherry bombs on it or something. I can't tell, man. Like I don't understand what happened. These are some kind of weird, like, I don't know, like some kind of corner downforce things probably for a bumper. I mean, there's a little spoiler in the middle of the hood, a fake hood scoop. I'm pretty sure there's 3 spoilers stacked on top of each other back here. I don't even know what's going on. But I don't know how this thing hasn't lifted off the ground and come crashing back down from a couple hundred feet.
You know what the crazy thing is? There's so much going on that my eyes can't comprehend what it's looking at right now.
It's hard, dude. It's really difficult, man. And I've been following this thing for years because it pops up every now and then on one of my Audi groups, and it just gets worse every year.
Jesus Christ!
When I first saw it, he had just a couple things on the hood and a couple like the front splitter and that nonsense, and then all of a sudden, like a couple years in, it became this thing.
Jesus Christ!
Like it is. It's insane. It is just absolutely nuts. Like you get into there and you start looking at it and you're like, what is going on here?
I mean, if he wants to piss people off, like he did a good job, but why? What is going on with the headlight?
Like he's got like mesh over the headlights, dude, like Mad Max style or something. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all about pissing off purists, but this is just purely stupid.
That's not pissing off purists. That's just
that's just mind-boggling. Mind-bogglingly
what are those
terrible
red things on the freaking hood that are sticking out? Like, what are those? Are those canards?
That's what they look like massive versions for like a time attack car or something that are stuck on in some weird way. I'm actually not sure.
Canards shouldn't even be on hoods. They should be on front bumpers.
Right. Like, and when he's got a couple down here that are attached to like little struts to support, it's just
oh my god,
the amount of these little like suspension like coilover looking things everywhere.
Like, what's the point of that?
Dude, I don't know.
You know what those might be? Those actually might be motorcycle struts. That's what they
might
look
be
like.
For how small, like generally small they are.
Yeah.
But think about how much weight was added to this thing.
5,000 pounds later.
Like, my God, I wish there was a shot from the back just to really see, like, I don't know what's going on with the hood here.
I don't know.
Is that a traffic cone sticking right there? Like,
I don't know. That's probably more of that weird canard shit. That's
more
on
of
the
these
hood.
things. Yeah, like there's like one here. It's at a point where I got to stop looking at it, or I'm gonna get myself nauseous. It is
my eyes hurt right now just looking at that.
Oh, dude, it's brutal, absolutely brutal.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, thanks for ruining my night. I'm gonna have nightmares now.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for. You, my wife, my kids, everybody.
Yeah, right. And on that bombshell, that's all the time that we have here for today. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all of our viewers, all of our listeners and subscribers. Don't forget to savor your brews and hit the road responsibly. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe all of the content. More stuff here to come. Cheers to booze and cars, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Cheers.